Okay, picture this. It's Friday night. You've just had a beer with some colleagues, and all you want to do is get home. There's an e-scooter right there. A decision that takes maybe 3 seconds could literally cost you your future. We're going to break down how that one, seemingly harmless choice can spiral into a criminal record, all based on what the law actually says.
And this is the thought that kicks the whole thing off. I mean, it sounds reasonable, right? An e-scooter is quick, it's easy, it's not a car. What could possibly go wrong? Well, you'd be really surprised, because the law has a very different, and frankly, a very unforgiving answer to that question.
So, let's talk about Mr. Kim. He could be any one of us, really. He's a professional in his 30s, works at an IT company, just finished up a work get-together. He's had a couple of beers, sure, but he doesn't feel drunk. He just wants to get home.
So this is the choice he's facing. He can wait over half an hour for a taxi, or he can hop on that scooter that's sitting right there and be home in 3 minutes. I mean, the convenience is almost impossible to argue with. In that moment, the choice feels like a no-brainer. He grabs the scooter.
The ride home was supposed to be just a few minutes long, but in a single split second, everything just changed. He's riding down an alley, and a pedestrian steps out of nowhere. Mr. Kim swerves, loses his balance, and they collide.
Now, thankfully, the pedestrian wasn't seriously hurt. The official medical diagnosis was just bruising that would take about 2 weeks to heal. To Mr. Kim, and probably to you and me, this sounds pretty minor. But in the eyes of the law, that 2-week diagnosis is a game-changing and absolutely devastating piece of evidence.
Mr. Kim was probably expecting a fine, maybe getting yelled at by the pedestrian, but that's about it. He was totally unprepared for what came next. The police didn't just write him a ticket, they launched a full-blown criminal investigation. So the question is, how did a little scrape on a scooter escalate into a major criminal offense?
And this is where the floor just drops out from under him. This wasn't about paying a penalty and moving on. Mr. Kim was formally charged and told he had to show up in criminal court. And the charge itself? It was something he'd only ever heard about happening to drunk drivers in actual cars.
He was charged with dangerous driving causing injury. Look, this isn't a minor traffic violation. This is a law designed to bring the hammer down on people who cause accidents while drunk. We're talking a serious felony-level charge, the kind of thing that can stop you from getting certain jobs or even traveling. And it was all being applied to a guy on an e-scooter.
This was pretty much Mr. Kim's entire defense, and it's the question everyone asks. It's just a scooter. It's small. It's not that fast. How can you possibly treat it with the same legal force as a 2-ton car? It just seems totally out of proportion, right? Even unfair.
Well, the court's response to that question was blunt, it was clear, and for a lot of people, it was a total shock. Yes, an e-scooter, when you're riding it under the influence, is treated just as seriously as a car in this kind of situation. They didn't care one bit about the type of vehicle.
Okay, this is where all the things we think are true just completely crumble in a courtroom. Let's break this down. First, that assumption that it's just a scooter, nope, a court ruling confirmed it's legally a vehicle, which means those serious charges absolutely apply. Second, thinking a past car DUI is a separate issue, wrong again. The Supreme Court says it counts as a repeat offense, which means the penalties get even more severe. And maybe the most dangerous myth of all, that you'll just pay a small fine. The second another person is injured, like that pedestrian, it's not about money anymore. It's a full-on criminal prosecution with the very real possibility of jail time.
So this all seems incredibly harsh, doesn't it? You have to wonder, what's the logic here? Why are the courts taking such a hard line on something like an e-scooter?
The court's reasoning really comes down to 3 key things. First, from a legal standpoint, an e-scooter is not a toy. It's a motor-powered device, which puts it in the same category as a motorcycle. Second, the potential for danger is actually huge. There is zero protection for the rider or for a pedestrian, so even a pretty slow crash can be really, really bad. And finally, it all comes down to a zero-tolerance principle. The law isn't about the type of vehicle, it's about the dangerous act of operating any powered vehicle while you're impaired.
Look, Mr. Kim's story is a huge cautionary tale, but it's also a lesson we can all learn from. So, how do you make sure you avoid his nightmare? Let's walk through a super simple 4-point safety check that could save you from a legal and financial disaster.
All right, these 4 rules are absolutely non-negotiable. First, 0 alcohol, 0 riding. And here's the part that shocks everybody. A scooter DUI can get your car driver's license suspended or even revoked. Yeah, seriously. Second, remember that 2-week diagnosis? Any injury, no matter how small it seems, automatically turns the whole thing into a criminal case. Third, do not refuse the breathalyzer. The penalties for refusal are often way worse than the DUI itself. And finally, don't even think your insurance company is going to bail you out. They won't cover a single penny. You will pay for everything: medical bills, lawyers, fines, all of it, yourself.
So it all comes back to that simple choice Mr. Kim made, the choice between a 30-minute wait and a 3-minute ride. When you weigh that tiny bit of convenience against a criminal record, financial ruin, and a future that is forever changed, it really puts things in perspective. The next time you're in that spot, just ask yourself this one question: is that 5-minute ride home really worth it?